Ian Garry and Michael Venom Page fight this weekend at UFC 303, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts and official prediction for the fight. So stick around to hear my thoughts. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. All right, guys, so this weekend, MVP and Ian Garry will open the main card at UFC 303. Ian Garry did everything he could to get on a Conor McGregor card and fight on the undercard of his idol. He did it, and then in true Ian Garry fashion, he gets cucked out of an opportunity. It wasn't necessarily his fault, but it's just funny to see him get cucked again. Now, Ian Garry is coming off of a win over Jeff Neal at UFC 298, which was a boring decision. I believe it was a split decision, but Ian Garry just very complacent, and he's way too happy to just back up the entire fight, throwing jabs and calf kicks. And MVP is coming off of a win over Kevin Holland at UFC 299. So they fought fairly close to each other, so the activity is about the same. When I talk about who's going to win fights, I consider age, who's younger typically wins, activity, and how they've looked recently. So experience does play a factor, but activity and youth tend to play a much bigger factor than experience. That's what the numbers tell us. So we have Ian Garry, who is very complacent most of the time to fight on the outside. He'll clinch wrestle up against the fence, but sometimes he'll really get in there and mix it up and actually go after somebody the way he did Neil Magny. Michael Venom Page, same type of approach. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight is a jab and low kick at range type of matchup, but Michael Venom Page does have those exciting, spinning kicks, spinning elbows. He has those tricks up his sleeve, and he's also a huge welterweight. He actually used to be a middleweight, whereas Ian Garry barely cuts weight. He weighs in at 170, and he's 180 on fight night. What's crazy to think is that Ian Garry, if he cut weight like the rest of most UFC fighters do, he could be a lightweight. It's crazy to think that Ian Garry could be a lightweight. But in regards to the fight, very similar styles, but Ian Garry is a little bit more meat and potatoes, front kicks to the body, calf kicks, ones and twos, head kicks occasionally, whereas Michael Venom Page will go deep into the bag of tricks to get a win. Jumping kicks, spinning kicks, 360 tornado kicks, shit like that. So he does have the advantage in the element of surprise, but I am going to take Ian Garry in this fight. I think that Ian Garry is much more suited for a boring fight, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think that Ian Garry is going to low kick and jab at range, and Michael Venom Page is going to be waiting to counter a big attack that's never going to come. I could see Michael Venom Page with a blitz that clips Ian Garry right on the chin. I mean, honestly, I do want Ian Garry to lose. I think most of us do, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Ian Garry is going to win a very boring decision. They're opening the main card. He's going to get booed. He's not going to have Conor there as like, let me impress Conor. So he's not going to have as much of a sense of urgency to go out there and put on a big highlight show. I think he's going to get a win, call out like a Jack Della Maddalena or a Shavkat, somebody like that, Kamaru Usman, somebody in the top 5, and try to use that as his number 1 contenders fight. I think the winner of this fight will get a number 1 contenders fight. This itself is not a number 1 contenders fight, but it's a title eliminator of sorts, because whoever wins this fight is one fight from a title fight, in my opinion. And it also depends, if Islam moves up to fight the winner of Leon and Bilal. You also have, if you have the lightweight champ come up to welterweight to challenge, it's going to push things back. It's going to clog the division a little bit. And I think that it's best for both divisions, for Islam to stay at 55 for the time being, and for Leon to keep fighting welterweight contenders. I think Leon's going to beat Bilal at UFC 304. And so I think that the winner of this fight is looking to get a title fight in England with Leon Edwards, because both of these guys are from the UK. You have Irish Ian Garry, and you have English Michael Venom Page. I think the UFC would love for Leon Edwards and Michael Venom Page to fight in England in a pay-per-view main event for the welterweight belt at some point. But I don't think that Ian Garry is going to let that happen. I think Ian Garry is going to get a very boring decision win, act like it wasn't boring. Rogan's going to cope and be like, I don't understand the haters. I don't understand the hate. What do you have to say to the haters? and he's gonna be like, you know what, Joe? And he's gonna cope. His wife's gonna be there, dressed in very revealing clothes. It's gonna be a shit show all the way around. Rogan's gonna simp for him, and we're gonna be looking at Ian Garry versus like a Usman or a Jack Della Maddalena or a Shavkat, somebody like that. Maybe they just put him in straight with Leon after Leon beats Bilal. But there's my thoughts. Official prediction, Ian Garry with a boring 3-round decision over Michael Venom Page. Let me know your thoughts on the fight down below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want extra content aside from my regular videos, make sure to become a channel member today to get access to members-only live streams and other bonus perks. Click the link in the description down below, or click the join button on our channel homepage. If you're interested in non-MMA content from me, make sure to check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World.